Okay, seems to be working. Okay, so I mentioned talking about warding and lines of control, and what that has to do with our gameplay. So I'm gonna do the video now because I'm not super lazy. Hopefully this works. What color is this? That's way too big. That's still way too big. That's better, okay. So during laning phase, you have vision of this automatically, just because what your turrets give you, and this gives you like a line of control, so to speak, from here, and it kind of dips down, because if you don't have warding, and goes back, and then again dips down and goes back. And everywhere here on the map, you have control. And if your opponent is anywhere on this part of the map, you can know. And there's nothing they can do about that, unless they're Evelyn. Which means that you literally control this part of the map. Your opponent can't go through this, unless they're super fed and kill you. So, this is like your safety zone, but it's also... anytime you advance beyond this, you are establishing a new line of control. Like, say you kill this turret, then you now have a line of control that goes more like this, because they no longer have this danger spot. So that's kind of what a line of control is. A line of control is just a line on the map based on vision or safety that allows you to control a region of the map. So talking about warding, ward locations and how they'll benefit lines of control, there's really a few ways you can do it. I'm going to use spawning on this side as the example, but it's all mirrorable, so don't worry. If you have their blue warded, and say this, well, their wraiths warded, and this tribrush warded, excuse me, and then maybe this bush warded. That gives you a line of control that's like this, like it would normally be, except that it extends like this. In that if your opponent is anywhere in this entire area of the map, you can have vision of it, and you can know all of this. And you see this is really big, and this is just with like 4 wards, which gives you huge safety from ganks and stuff. It's really strong, actually. Like, if you can have these 4 locations warded all the time, you have this gigantic line of control that makes you completely safe from ganks as long as you watch the minimap, because you'll see the jungler coming down, or you'll see him coming, or anything, pretty much. It's like impossible to gank you without having vision of where their jungler is. So this is pretty much optimal. This is how you want it to be at all times, but that's really hard to do, because those are some hard wards to have. So if you can't have that, then you could potentially have like this, and maybe this, and this, and this. This one's really easy, so you can have it anyway. And now this gives you like a line more like this, which is really good. It means like if you're around here in bot lane or something, the jungler could just like come down and kill you, because you don't have quite enough warning to be able to get away with that. But it is still really strong. So these are the kind of ward locations you want to have in laning phase, and these are the kind of ward locations you should have at all times. And everyone should be warding this. Like, this is done by the top laner all the time. This is going to be something your mid laner's doing. Your supports can be doing this. Your jungler can be doing this. Your mid laner could even be doing this. You just need these warded all the time. And there's really no excuse not to have them warded, because it is possible. You would like to have this go to here, and you would like to have this go to here, but if you don't, it's okay. It's still bearable, and it's still really good. So that's what you want to do. That's where you want to have your wards at all times. Don't during laning phase, because that gives you this huge line of control that you can use to be really safe in lane and not like die to ganks and stuff. Once towers are down though, it changes a lot. Like, let's say all the outer turrets are down, my line of control is now like this, which is obviously really weak, but at the same time, being on your half of the map, cutting it in half, is still really strong in that it's easier for you than it is for them. You're closer to the fountain, you're closer to your turrets, etc. than they are. So this is like a pretend line of control that only exists if you have vision. So like say mid-game, if you're, say, losing, then you want to have like this warded all the time, and this warded all the time, and this warded all the time, and this warded all the time. And that would give you like a line of control like this. But that's actually not quite as good as it seems, because if your opponents are in this part of your jungle, you won't actually have vision, you'll just know that they came and know that you need to be really safe. But if they're like in a position where they're invading your jungle and stuff, you need to have wards like here, and here, and here, all the time. Because that'll give you a real line of control like this that says, if my opponent is anywhere in these locations, I will know exactly where they are. And you can pretty easily use that to get huge vision advantage. Similarly, you want to have it like kind of reversed if you're like super ahead, like if you've killed all their outer turrets, you want to have like this warded at all times, and this warded at all times, and this warded, and like these kind of locations, which gives you a line of control that's like this, which is obviously really strong. Excuse me. So that's something you want to do when you can. It's really, really helpful. That's how you need to be warding. And you need to all be warding. Just because you're an entitled mid laner, or you're a top laner who's behind because he lost lane or whatever, that does not matter. That's no excuse to not be warding. You need to be warding all the time, whenever you can. Actually, even when you can't, you should be warding, because splitting between can and can't just ends you up making excuses to not ward, which is really bad. You need to be warding. Everyone does. That includes me. So, the other thing is how minions interact with this line of control. Because I can have this dead, and this dead, and this dead, and all this stuff warded. So I have this beautiful line of control. But if they have a minion wave that's here, then my line of control is actually like this. Because I can't interact on this part of the map, because there's nothing to gain from it. Like, if I win a fight right here, I can't get anything out of it, because I have to go all the way back to kill these, and then go all the way back here to get an objective. So that's not really any help to have. So, minions can interact with lines of control similar to towers. So, that's something to keep in mind. I also want to talk about pink wards. There's like a bush over here, I think it's the first blood bush. Han named it. You want to have a pink there pretty much all the time, your jungler or your mid laner. It's just really OP because it lasts forever, so it's super high value, and if your opponent tries to invade this, your mid laner can come really easily, your top laner can potentially come down in an extended fight, and if your jungler is anywhere in the vicinity, which they won't know, he can come to help, which is really helpful. So basically, trying to kill it is really dangerous for them. So this is a really OP pink spot. Similar to the bush over here, and like these are the two biggest pink spots in the whole map earlier on. And then later on you want to use them to have vision and detection specifically. So you like pinks at Baron, or pinks around here if you're really far ahead. Because like pinking here gives you, not only does it give you this kind of vision, but it denies it from your opponent, which makes picks in your opponent's jungle really easy. Like, that's one of the really big things about trying to make picks, is that your opponent can't have vision, and you have to have vision. That's where part of where pink wards are really good. So you want to try to remember that and invest in those whenever you can. That's more of a can and less of a must, because they're pretty expensive. Excuse me. And don't put them somewhere unless it's actually a good place. So don't just be like, well, I guess I'll put it here. It's only if you need to have detection of the area or if you benefit from the perma-length of time. So that's kind of how wards interact with zones of control and minions and towers and stuff and all the warding stuff. So you need to use this when you push. You want to have your zone of control as straight of a line as possible at all times. Which means if I'm trying to kill this inhibitor turret, I want to have my zone of control be like this, which means I want to have these turrets down, and I want to have my minion waves pushing here. Because that way, I have this most of the map where if I kill anything, like say I win a fight, then I can kill this, of course, but I could also go up here and kill this, because I'm going to have minions, because they're all pushing, which is really important. You don't necessarily need these down when you're pushing something like this. Like, this is a acceptable zone of control, or even something more like this. Those are still really strong. So, something to remember, you don't necessarily need these turrets down when you're pushing the inhibitor. Excuse me. Okay, so keeping lanes pushed is really important, and that's why. There's also stuff like, say I'm sieging this turret, and we're here, and they're here. Let me clear that a bit. We're here, and they're here, and they have a ton of wave clear. Then we're obviously never going to get anywhere. But if we have zone of control pushing our minions all the way to here and all the way to here, then we can just like go up here and try to kill this turret. And if they can come up to defend, and then you can come back down, and then you can go over here. And whoever rotates better is going to get the advantage. So the best they can do is keep it even by not losing their turrets. And the best you can do is be killing turrets. So obviously it's hugely an advantage of the attacker. So you want to have all your lanes pushing when you're doing that. So it's really important to keep all lanes pushed. That's something to remember. And that's part of split pushing. Split pushing isn't killing all these turrets. That's not the point of a top lane split pusher. The point of a top lane split pusher is the minion wave is always around here. At least. And that means your goal isn't insta-kill all the waves and go kill the turrets. Your goal is, a lot of the time, only getting the last hits to build up a wave so that it will push for a long period of time and push slowly so that you guys, or so that your team, can push around here and you'll still have the minions there so that you can do rotations like that. So you need to have lanes pushed all the time. And if, say, you have one lane pushing, like way up here, like it's pushing really hard, and you want to siege this turret, then you should have your split pusher go down here and have this lane be pushing while you guys siege this turret, so that you can rotate both directions at all times. This is also really important, like if they're here and you're here, and you have minions pushing here, and you have your split pusher down here, then you guys can rotate back and forth between this, and you can maybe poke over the wall, you have Nidalee or whatever, anything like that, and try to get one of these turrets, and you have this threat down here that's forcing them to send people this way, which is really far from their preferred area. And that's only possible if you have this pushing, and you're here, and you can get this pushing. So you need to have all of that whenever you can. And you need to always have wards in lines like this, creating your lines of control across the map so that you can have these huge safe zones. Or at least so that you can have a safe zone, because a lot of the time we do things like, I'm going to ward here so that I can't get ganked. But it's like 25 minutes into the game. They could just as easily come from down there. So we do things like, we're here pushing this, and we have minions here, and we don't have wards, like, at all. And that literally makes our zone of control like this. That's really bad, obviously, because there are these huge chunks that you don't have control of that you could if you just dropped wards here, and here, and here, and maybe here. That's really important to do. You need to have those wards all the time, and everyone needs to be dropping them, not just the support. I cannot emphasize that because none of us ward. Literally none of us ward consistently. If you have a choice between buying a longsword or an amp tome or whatever and buying 3 sight wards, get the sight wards. Always. Because you need to be warding all the time. It's really a big deal that we don't do. So, we need to work on that. Yeah. Yeah. I might have had something else to say, but I don't remember if I did, so maybe I'll just stop here. Just remember, keep the lines of control, and keep all lanes pushing. And that's it, I think. I think that's everything I have to say about warding and controlling space. So, yeah, bye.